Hi guys, Michelle Visser. I am writing and talking about simple living and real food all the time. Please subscribe to this channel where there's lots more like this video, and consider following me over on Instagram where I'm showing up daily, and on my podcast where there is a new episode release that's going to encourage you every week. So today I am emptying out my freeze dryer. This is my first summer that I have owned a freeze dryer. I have so much to tell you about it. This video isn't going to cover everything that's on my mind because there's so much, but I thought I would just bring you along as I empty out the freeze dryer, show you what I preserved, and talk a little bit about freeze drying compared to dehydrating. So come along, let me show you my freeze dryer. First of all, I know it's a really big decision, like so hard to decide what freeze dryer to get. And I know for many years, I couldn't figure out if I even needed a freeze dryer since I had figured out dehydrating so well. I own 3 dehydrators and I just didn't know if there was a need for freeze drying. So that's one thing I want to talk about today, how the freeze drying is different. We have automatic lights in our back halls. So in case you were wondering how I magically turned on that light, here comes another one. Ready? Woohoo! Okay, so how did I choose the freeze dryer? I will probably do a video just on that, but to make it really quick, it's extremely efficient, completely made in the US. I'm so pleased with their customer service, and honestly, that's what sold me. Well, that and one other thing. Now, I've already taken out one tray here, but you might be able to even tell. This is the trays that come with the freeze dryer, and these are just my average old cookie trays. It can fit standard trays. That was huge to me. Like, I thought that was so cool, but I didn't understand until I started using this baby how much I would love this, because I have 2, if not 3 freeze dryer filled worth of food in my freezer at all time, because I pre-freeze my food and I want it ready to run this again and again and again and keep it going all summer and fall, because we have 3 gardens and a lot of food to process. So having those extra trays has been a game changer and has saved me hundreds of dollars right off the bat, not having to buy 3 more sets of special trays. So let me show you what's in here. So in my freeze dryer, I've already taken out 2 trays of my tomato puree. Let's get another tray and let's take this into the kitchen. This is tomato puree. When you freeze dry it, it becomes something amazing, like the likes of astronaut food. And all I did was take my tomatoes from the garden. Here's a tray. And I removed any blemishes or any big cores on the tomatoes. But you can see I have all different kinds, all different colors, and I just tossed them all in the food processor and mushed them up. Put this in my food processor and give it a few whirls, and then it's ready to store away until I add my seasoning. So I got the jars of tomato powder done. I did label them so I would have no doubt that they have not yet had the seasoning and sugars added. It's just literally tomato. But with that done, let's go get the other 2 trays that are left and get those bottled up as well. Okay, so let's start with, let's start with the broccoli. I grew this in my garden this year, but you could do this certainly with broccoli you get at the farmer's market or at the grocery store. And I keep every tiny little piece of it. I have a jar here of just the little extras, because why not shake them into my scrambled eggs or add them into my soup when I'm making broccoli cheddar soup. But I do also keep the nice ones separate so I can just cook up some broccoli too. Let me get a jar here. I think think the hardest challenge is deciding what size jar to use, which sounds silly, right? And that tells you if it's the hardest challenge to freeze drying. You don't need to be intimidated by this. It's really not as complicated as you think. Like, it's crazy. Especially, I don't know if all freeze dryers are as user-friendly as mine, but I love the pre-programmed recipes, how easy it is. You just put the food in there and hit the button. Like, nothing to be intimidated by. But let's see, will this all fit in a pint-sized jar? I really have found I love storing my freeze-dried food in jars. It works the best for me. And it is ideal if it can fill up the right size jar every time I empty out my freeze dryer. If not, I'll show you what I do in that case. But hopefully these will fit just right. There's a lot of shaking going on when I'm doing this to get it to get down and leave me some more room. Now, I do not use oxygen absorbers. You certainly can. It doesn't hurt anything, but I haven't found that I need them. I do use a vacuum seal for my lid, and that has been all that I've needed. I also, it's the opposite of canning. You know, with canning, they tell you once your jar is sealed, remove your lid. I actually do use the rims because if for some reason the seal comes undone, which it has happened, if the rim is on there holding the lid down, it's still going to be fine, you know, because it still has a seal. So at least that's been my experience so far. This is on the wide mouth, so I need to take that off for the regular mouth. There we go. Okay. Now, if I don't have enough food to fill a jar, which is what happened with this jar, then I will vacuum seal it and let it sit until I'm doing the next load of that food and add to it. If I know the next load in the freeze dryer has more of this food in it, I won't even bother to seal it, but this I believe I sealed, yes. So with my cherry tomatoes, I have some full-size cherry tomatoes, and then I also have these little Matt's cherry tomatoes. I don't know if you can tell the difference in size on the video. Very different. These are fantastic to put on your salad instead of croutons. You get the tomato flavor and the crunch of a crouton. It's so good. So I actually separate my tiny cherry tomatoes from my larger ones when I freeze dry and when I store them away. So this is my jar of croutons, and this is my jar of cherry tomatoes. Now these are going to probably be too many to fill this, so I'm gonna have to start another jar. Honestly, that's the only frustration that I have found with this way of preserving food, is just like, then you might wonder, well, why do I want to store it in jars? Just use a bag. But I mean, then I feel like you're being wasteful if you're sealing up the bag when you could fit more food in it. You know, I don't know. I like jars because I can see what's in there, because it doesn't cost me anything. I have so many canning jars. But guys, my days of canning are done. I thought they were close to being done once I figured out how to dehydrate, but now that I have this amazing freeze dryer, done. I don't need jars for canning anymore. So I'm using them this way, and I don't have to buy Mylar bags that way. And hey, I think they're gonna fit. Shake them a little. Oh, I have more on this tray though. Okay, so we'll just take a few off so I don't crush any. Apples are seriously maybe my favorite freeze-dried treat. No, maybe peaches are more my favorite. I don't know. I like so many treats out of the freeze dryer. Even green beans. I really like them as a snack. Just the texture, you just can't beat that airy crispness. Oh, so good. So for apples, one question I had in the beginning is, do I need to peel them? And I've had them both ways. And I'll tell you, if it's a fresh apple, I greatly prefer it peeled if I'm snacking on it. I'm weird that way. I don't know, because the skin sometimes gets stuck like in between your teeth. But with the freeze dry, it changes the texture of the skin. And I honestly don't care if the skin's on it or not. So I make that easier on myself and I don't bother skinning it. And then another question I had was, do you need trays, like liners for your trays? No. Apples come right off. Like that was the most difficult they ever are. They just pop right off. So no need for a tray when you're a tray liner when you're freeze drying apples. Okay, so I finished getting the apples in a jar and sealed those up. I got my broccoli in a jar, sealed that up. And now my last thing that I need to get put away is the corn. The corn was sharing a tray with some cherry tomatoes and some broccoli. Bill is not a fan of broccoli, so I don't want to get any little pieces of the broccoli in his corn, so I'm going to be careful. Let's get a jar and a funnel. There we go. And I kept the tray folded so the broccoli couldn't possibly go in with the corn. All right, so corn does not need a liner, neither does broccoli, but I figured it would help me get it in the jar if I had a liner under it. And also, good fun fact about corn, 2 fun facts. It's super easy to rehydrate. It just takes a few minutes and you have a delicious vegetable to go with your dinner. It's also a really yummy snack. It's kind of almost popcornish. It's nice and crisp. It has nothing on it, no seasoning, no butter, but it's really tasty. So it's really a nice thing to snack on if you want a little crunchy something. Freeze-dried corn is better than you expect. It's good stuff. So thanks for coming along with me as I processed some of the things out of the garden today and got them stored away. I hope that gave you some insight into a freeze dryer, some of the things you might want to freeze dry, and maybe answered some questions you might have had about what it's like to freeze dry your food. Let me know any questions you have in the comments. There'll be lots more content coming up about freeze drying because I'm pretty much addicted. And this freeze dryer is amazing. In fact, before officially wrapping up this video, let me tell you a couple things that helped me decide what freeze dryer I wanted. I mentioned one thing already, that the trays are interchangeable with baking trays you already own. It's very cool. And small company, when you call, you might even talk to the owner and you get really good customer service. And for me, they will correspond with you whatever way works best for you. I was getting texts, I was getting phone calls in response to my questions when I was first getting things set up and trying to figure things out. Great customer service. And I had read about that because I had gone in lots of different chat groups and I had seen some real horror stories about the customer service with a very specific, well-known freeze dryer, like the brand that is synonymous for freeze drying. I couldn't believe how horrible their customer service seems to be from the stories I was reading. So that I knew was important to me. And I did research about the energy use, and it's 25% more efficient than the other machines out there. So that says a lot because I know they take up a lot of energy, and I didn't want to kill our energy bill with this machine. Was that everything? I did like they'd come in different colors. I went with the black, but I liked that I had choices, and I really debated about going with a really cool army green color. Anyway, it's a great machine. Very happy with it. If you want to know more about it, check out my link below and definitely use my code because you have to save money if you're going to be purchasing such a great investment. But anyway, there you have it. I hope that answered some questions. Let me know what you think.